We're Mark and Donna Rourke from Advantage Chiropractic, and we have raised two wonderful kids, a son and a daughter. Tried to raise them in the most healthy lifestyle we can, and it's kind of fun to watch them now choose better choices. And my kids tell me that I've ruined them with food choices because they only want to eat the healthy things, and they can't eat the others. So in some ways, they say I've ruined them.
I still remember when the kids would have their friends come over, and they would all run to the pantry and quickly found out that we weren't that family that had.
There are no ho-hos or ding-dongs or frozen pizzas.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of other food. You could make a pizza if you wanted.
Oranges and apples, and because our kids grew up in that lifestyle, they said, "What do you mean there's no food? There's plenty of food." And Austin would peel an orange, and so, but yeah, we have two awesome kids, and they're adult kids now. But in addition to the healthy eating, they also got to experience the chiropractic lifestyle throughout their journey. Both were three-sport athletes in our small town of Kimball, Minnesota, and very much enjoyed taking care of them. And oftentimes during Babe Ruth tournament, I remember I was the team chiropractor adjusting several of the boys that year for state tourney, and so it's been good.
Yeah, they're the first ones to say, "Hey, I think I have a subluxation. I think I need to be adjusted." And they know that headaches aren't normal. They don't run for the Tylenol. When they come to visit, the first thing they ask is, "Hey, Dad, you have time for an adjustment?" So we do have a little setup that they get adjusted and send them on their way.
Yes, oftentimes I like to say headaches are not the result of a lack of ibuprofen in the bloodstream. So.
Yeah. Doctor visits were very few and far between, and so when we did go, because there are times when you do want to go, they'd always ask, "Well, how many antibiotics and how many times have you been in, and what's going on, and is this something that happens a lot?" And we really had to stretch back, like, I think there was an antibiotic 10 years ago, but that's about it. They did have their times when they would get back into the school year, and they would have their immune system tested, and so they would usually get a chronic cough or a cold around October, but they almost planned on it. They knew how to handle it. They knew that, okay, this is what I need to do. I'll be over it quicker. We were able to just kind of plan and get through it a little bit quicker than most.
I even go back farther to, as new parents, you basically do what you're told to do by your pediatricians. And I recall there was a time where there was well baby checks, where they would, weigh the child and measure them. And at that time, it seemed like every time she would take the kids in for that, they would come home and they'd be sick. They'd have something, and I don't know if it was from the toys or just the atmosphere, but I think it was before they had these separate areas. And we finally got to a point, it's like, why would we take our child in for a well baby check if they're going to potentially get sick from that being there? So we kind of put the brakes on that, but to keep our kids healthy, there's a direct link between your immune system and your nerve system, and if your nerve system's compromised, obviously your immune system's going to be malfunctioning. And so I adjusted my kids throughout their childhood. They would come home sick from time to time, like she said, in the fall, usually some upper respiratory thing, and my kids got sick like many other kids, but through adjustments and proper nutrition, rest, like everybody else is taught, our kids would be over it much quicker without drugs, naturally. And obviously you can't take an antibiotic for a virus, and a lot of people still don't understand that. So I would say it kind of goes back to our schooling. I went to college in Bloomington at Northwestern. At the time was Northwestern College of Chiropractic, and now it's Northwestern Health Sciences University. But we had classes on pediatric chiropractic. I've taken seminars on pediatrics and chiropractic, and seen numerous colleagues that have had successful practices taking care of families and kids, and obviously, well, I'll be honest, when I first started, I didn't probably see that many kids until our kids were the benefit of, seeing is believing, if you will, and I got to see it through my own eyes, through my taking care of my own family, and I guess that's where it did probably start, that we started to see more families, more kids here, and I'm thinking of the Thorson family right now, and their boys are very much energized when they come here, but they were all babies. Anytime they have some type of immune system compromise, they think of getting adjusted first before going to the medical doctor, and that's just one example of one family that we're very proud to take care of.
Well, with a lot of the families I see them bringing in younger and younger children with different situations, like they might consider ADD or a little hyperactivity or food sensitivities. They're not quite sure what's happening. And like I said, they're getting younger and younger. But I try and look at the whole family. One of the parents is going to cook, and what I find is so many of them, we've forgotten how to cook, how to choose the foods, and they think, if you're eating potatoes out of a box, it's different than a regular potatoes. And so when you kind of get into some of those different things that, we should all still know, we realize that we're really not feeding our families anymore the way we used to, and all of those different nutrients are being lost. And if you don't put those building blocks in as small children, they don't have the building blocks to grow into healthy older children. And it's basically just changing the mindset. A lot of parents think their kids don't like green foods, when the kids are fine with them. They really, once you start to introduce them without cheese sauce, the kids really like vegetables. But it's something that, until you try it, or you don't have a fun recipe, or how you can get the kids involved in the planning and the preparing. And it's really, again, just taking time with the families to just relax. We can do this. This is how we go forward. This is how we teach our kids to feed themselves, because that's really kind of a lost art.
I think we're just more of a society of what's quickest, what's fastest, and it does take time with the preparation, and I think with our recent pandemic, it's forced families to get creative in the kitchen, and I think there's been a lot of good that's come out of this, and I think that's one of those things in the kitchen and mealtime, and
more togetherness for sure, especially around the kitchen table, or the preparation work, the grocery shopping. Even though only one person may go to the store, the person who generally cooks all the time doesn't have to plan everything anymore, because the whole family's involved. They know they like chicken, they know they like broccoli, they know they like all these other things that they want to make sure mom brings home or dad brings home, so that they can actually prepare them together. Well, in health, overall, holistic health, the whole health picture includes all of those things: your socialization, your mental health, your digestive health, um, physical movement, what you drink, what you eat, all of that. And so you can't discount those family meals. Um, you can't discount the togetherness. You can't not have that and expect your family to be growing in a proper way. That whole person is built through the entire family unit. And some families are just two people, maybe a parent and a child, but those connections are huge. The family unit can also include the neighbors, because the neighbors are always over, whatever that unit is. But ensuring that you have that socialization so that you can depend on each other, and right now de-stress with each other. Who do I have to vent to that's going to let me vent and not judge me for it, and then okay, so I can move on. And that happens sometimes at dinner. Nutrition does go beyond food. First off, when you're nourished and your brain and your body is working better, you actually have a better impact, a better influence on someone else. Teachers, if they're better nourished, they're going to have a better influence on the children. Children are going to have a better chance at learning. They're going to have a better influence on their peers. They're not going to be as stressed and strung out as maybe somebody. And there are so many children that don't have that opportunity to have those meals, and that's why those food programs are so important. But it's also important for those food programs to offer healthy food. So nutrition starts with the food, but then it just becomes something much more. You really want to be able to give to other people, and you really want to you feel better about yourself, so you want to share all the gifts that you have rather than staying more secluded because you feel so much better.
I would say that we all, as individuals, have patterns. We sit a certain way, we sleep a certain way. But to Donna's point, I mean, if we can find that sweet spot, if you will, with balancing your nutrition and your mental attitude and things like that, certainly that's going to help your overall body perform better. But I've always seemed to have an art of discovering where those hard to get rid of spots would be. I guess similar to the dental analogy, if you go into the dentist and they find, oh, there's a little bit of plaque on this tooth. Sometimes there's compromise along the spine in different areas. So all of that is in an effort to help your body be more balanced, find that homeostasis. But rest assured, I'll probably still find some of those troubling areas, and if we can get those areas found and adjust those areas and help that nerve system flow and function better, that's the cool thing, is when people start telling me that they have had more energy, they're sleeping better, they have better digestion, now the foods that they're eating get digested better through that proper functioning nerve system. It really is a good balance for everybody. What inspired all of the combination of the nutrition and the chiropractic at our office at Advantage Chiropractic here is, I guess I'm a faith person, and I believe that I'm directed. God led me to this profession, and God led me to her, and God brought in our two beautiful children, and through what she was doing with her part in food preparation and raising our family, and she started to have more of a desire to help and share others. So it really started on the home front. And then I think as the children got older, she just had more of a passion, like I would like to help others. And I thought it would be a nice complement to what we were doing already in the office. And if you look at the word wellness as a whole, wellness combines a proper functioning nerve system, exercise, nutrition and diet, mental focus. And so she really does bring a big piece of that to help the individuals move to a better place of wellness. So
there's a big piece in our office where there's so much that Dr. Mark can take care of that subluxation and really get that nervous system functioning again. My role within the office is basically, again, to educate patients on what they can do outside of the office, because he can't travel with everybody. Wouldn't that be nice? Have your traveling chiropractor with you. But there are things that you eat that may cause your muscles to tense up. There are stressors that you don't even know about causing subluxations. There are, accidents or fun stressors that may cause subluxations. So people come in, they get all of that aligned, and then if they just went back out, did the same thing, ate bad foods, didn't have good posture, that's not really helping them to help themselves. We're not just a one and done snap, crackle, pop. It's really, this is how you need to take care of your body. This is how we prevent, this is how we move forward, so that you don't have to continue to live in a state of subluxation. We get to the point where we teach you how to maintain your body. This is your only earth suit. This is what you've got to take care of. And so I think as a whole, looking at the nervous system and manually getting that back together and then sending someone out and saying, okay, now this is how you care for the gift I've given you, I think that kind of creates that holistic piece.
Yeah, and I too think that we're at a point in our lives where I've lost one of my parents, and we're watching the other parents get older, and all of us have family members that we look at their health. We look at Uncle Joe that's got diabetes, or somebody that's got Alzheimer's, and we're really trying to, I guess a lot of our friends are our age group, and so we're really trying to help guide them and guide ourselves. And you know, we didn't get an owner's manual when we came into this world, and so we're trying to do our part to help others through education about nutrition, because it's hard to know. You go to the grocery store and there's this and this, and well, this says this, and it's confusing. And so Donna really does help bring to light that education piece, that this might look good, but
Right, it might say natural, it might say, you may have grown up that this is food. Well, you know, there's they say there's junk food and there's food. Well, if it's junk, it's not food. And let's really kind of get down to the nitty gritty of what you're trying to do. You know, your genetics are about 25% you, 75% what you do to them. And so we really want to look at the genetic code and not be Uncle Joe. Because a lot of times they'll say these conditions run in the family. Well, they run in the family because you learn to eat at the same dinner table. So kind of look at some habits, look at some choices. There are different ways to live.
originally I was not going to be a chiropractor. I started wearing glasses at the age of 12, and when I graduated school, I was going to be an optometrist. And after my first year of pre-med and schooling, that's when they came out with corrective surgery to fix the eyes. And in my wisdom at age 19, I guess it was, I just assumed that everybody was going to get their eyes corrected and nobody would any longer need an optometrist. So I recall asking my advisor, Mr. Fulp, at the time, and I said, Mr. Fulp, I said, so I don't have to start schooling over again, what can I do? He said, young man, if you choose to, you can go on and complete your pre-med and become a medical doctor. And I didn't like the thought of hospitals or blood, and I said, not for me. I said, what else, Mr. Fulp? He says, young man, if you choose to, you can go on and complete your pre-med and become a podiatrist. At the age of 19, I wasn't quite sure what that was, but when I found out it was dealing with feet, I didn't want to do that either. I said, is there anything else? And I call this another God moment. He says, young man, if you choose to, you can go on and complete your pre-med and become a chiropractor. Ding, ding, ding. My father, growing up on the farm in North Dakota, would often visit the chiropractor in our local town of Devil's Lake. And I thought that would be fun to help people like my father. So having never been to a chiropractor personally, I decided to embark on this path, signed up for a school that I had never visited, and when I got there and one of my chiropractic roommates in my upper trimester level found out I had never been adjusted, he said, lay down. I said, why? He said, because I'm going to adjust you. That was my first adjustment at age 20, having never been to a chiropractor, and I giggled through the whole thing because I'd never heard my body make such noises before. That's my story.
My interest in nutrition really started for the reasons that why was I the only one in my family who liked healthier foods? And I would get sick when I would eat the not so healthy foods, so I was kind of forced to be on this path. But then raising my kids and watching how the differences in what foods can do, and then actually getting into how the foods actually work in your body. You know, what these vitamins in food do, what the fiber, what these things can actually make in your body and cause your body to be healthy or not. And then just really seeing how, with my own kids, the differences. Oh, I can see that we didn't have the best diet over the weekend, which is fine. Sometimes that's just the way it is. They have to explore food groups, even the not so healthy ones. But then after that, it's just the fun part of getting the the improvements. And then when I started to just kind of share things with people, I've had people that, they used to sit in their car while their family went on a hike because they didn't feel well. They didn't think they could do it. Their knees hurt, their this and that. But showing them and sharing with them the food preparation, and how it's not that hard, and that choose these foods over these foods. It's not as difficult as people make it. Now she's actually running. She ran 3 miles the other day. So it was to go from sedentary to running and choosing to do that. Not that I even asked her to do that. Just to see that progression over foods and things that they've been there for longer than me, obviously. But just teaching people again how they can take care of their bodies. It's just fun.
When a patient first comes in here, obviously they have some type of symptom, mostly, that'll bring them in. Our goal is to find out what's causing, or what is the underlying cause of that symptom, and how can we move them out of that state to a better place. So I'd love to say it's one visit, great, good job, high five, but it really depends on the individual and where they're at, either via nutrition, whether it's a postural thing, maybe they sit at a bad workstation day in, day out. But we really pride ourselves on the education that we teach our patients, because we look at them as an individual. What are they doing outside of here? We don't want to just adjust them and have them go back to the same poor lifestyle once they walk out my doors. So much like departing a port in a ship and heading to a destination, it takes time for them to travel that section. And during that travel time, we like to teach them things along the way. And so one of our educational tools is various exercises to help them on that journey. Another educational tool is we'll have in-office workshops where we teach people about the 3 kinds of stress: the physical, the chemical, the emotional. Posture and ergonomic tips are huge. Nutrition. And so as long as they do their part, and that's the key, they can't expect us to just fix them on our own. That they have to be invested in their health, not only from a monetary standpoint, but also putting the work in outside of our office. The more they do that, the greater the results that we see collectively as a whole. And during the reevaluation process, we do those periodically. It's amazing when you hear people telling you that they have more energy than they've ever had before. They're sleeping better than they ever have before because their pain is diminished, their relationships with their wife and their kids, they're able to play with their family. It's not just about fixing back pain and headaches. It's about seeing how people are able to live a better quality of life.
For my part in the office, a lot of it is nutrition, and that's usually the first thing that brings them in. But as we talked about, it's really the whole person. So a meeting with me is a lot more about life, lifestyle, what's really going on. Tell me more, tell me more. And I really try to have them leave with some tools, or sometimes just a person that they've been able to vent to, de-stress with, just for the moment. And then when they come back in, they usually have a completely different mindset about things. They're feeling a little bit better. They'll come in again and talk, and we will tweak that mindset a little bit more in the positive psychology, getting them moving forward, looking at life a little differently, lifestyle choices.
I know you always said that food is very emotional to people and very habitual too. And
Food is very much a symptom. So how people use food is a symptom of something else generally. And so when we get into that something else, then we know if we need to go deep dive, and maybe that's someone else's position where we need to refer them out, or is it something that we can just kind of discuss as friends?
Yeah, that's so. Like, are there any real stories that just recently have happened that you get home at night and you just go, "Oh my gosh, like that is just a great story," or "That's just really amazing"? I mean, has anything big happened here in the last couple of months? I mean, even during pandemic times, I mean, have you seen some really inspiring situations unfold recently?
I think during this, so many people come in so stressed, and one person came in and she's a business owner, and she didn't know the next steps. This was in the very beginning. Were they going to have to close? What were they going to do with their employees? Were they looking at unemployment? Were they looking at loans? And she came in on the ceiling. And actually in June I get my teachers in. They're all on the ceiling because they're so stressed out from the year. I just immediately pulled her in my office and we just talked about it. We did some slow breathing exercises. We really wanted to move through that. Finally, when she came out, she was just back down to her rational self, and we could get her through and get in a proper adjustment, so the adjustment stayed better. And the next time she came in, she said, without that moment of relief, she would have just walked right out because she thought she had so many things that she had to take care of instead of taking care of herself first. And since she did take care of herself first, she was able to take care of her employees much better.
and her family, because I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yep.
And I when I was new in this, and even you as well, you're green. There's no other way to say it. But now, through our wisdom, and this is our 24th year in business, and there's a lot of wisdom in those years, and you can read people. And much like she was reading the client she was talking about, that she just whisked her into her office and just said, just breathe. And that happens a lot in here. You can tell by a person's demeanor. You can tell by the look on their face. I think of Doreen, who lost her husband about 3 months ago. And they were life partners for a long time. And during the pandemic, I kind of advised her that it may be okay for her to take a break from her care because she was one of my many wellness patients, but she didn't want to because she knew that the adjustment was going to be beneficial for her body, especially during her grief. But also, we're a very loving office, and we care about what she's going through on a personal basis. Through our interactions, and I just shared this with Doreen within the last week, I have another individual who is a grievance counselor. And I spoke to her about what Doreen was going through, and she said, why don't you get me her name and number? And so I made sure that was all kosher with everybody, and I was able to link those two together. And so I think, again, back to our faith, God brings people together, and I think through us we're able to link people to help with healing beyond just chiropractic and nutrition. So that's just one of the fun stories. We also had a little baby that came in during the pandemic. Mom and Dad were very afraid about chiropractic. They weren't quite sure about it. But he was 3 months old, little baby Riker, and he couldn't turn his head to one direction. I think it was to the right. And as a result of not being able to turn his head, he developed a flat spot on his head. And when he first came in, there was a tremendous amount of just muscle tension and spasm along the left side of his neck and his upper back. And with gentle adjustments, and I emphasize gentle because pediatric chiropractic is very gentle, he is now able to turn his head fully side to side, and he's just a great kid. So that was another heartwarming story. Don't kiss me. You're gonna get lipstick all over me.
Kiss you here and here and here.
I'm Dr. Mark Rorick, and
I'm Donna Rorick.
we're from Advantage Chiropractic, and we just feel very blessed to be here in St. Cloud, Minnesota, and very blessed to have been able to take care of people for the last 24 years, individuals and families, and blessed to have a great team that has been with us for a number of years. And we're just really inspired to be able to help individuals live healthier lifestyles because we're all in this thing together.
Absolutely. Looking forward to continuing to improve our community. I'm Donna Rorick with Advantage Chiropractic.
And I'm Dr. Mark Rorick from Advantage Chiropractic. So I just want to thank you for taking the time and listening to this message. And if you enjoyed it, we just ask that you subscribe to our Facebook page or follow us on Twitter. Boom. Nailed it.
Yeah,
Nailed
I
it.
could say yeah. That's a good cut. I love that.
I just want to say that we're a fun damn office. No.